What's up guys? So in today's video, what I'm going to be going over are going to be the last 10 fragrances that I've worn this fall. Now the last 10 days after selecting my fragrance of the day, I've been taking a picture of them and putting them onto my Instagram. So for each number on this list, I'll be posting a picture from my Instagram page. These 10 I would say would be 10 of the best fragrances to wear this fall. As someone who has over 300 fragrances, these are the ones that I picked each day. On that note, let's get into it. Number 10 is the first fragrance that I wore like 10 days ago. That fragrance is Prada Rosa Black. Guys, this is a seductive, warming winter fragrance. Now, without getting too much into the notes of the fragrance, just know that it's warming. It's a little metallic, long-lasting, and with a great sillage. But not just warming, it's also sweet and somewhat spicy, with definite powdery undertones, which give it a bit more oomph and a bit more of a mature-like edge to it. And speaking of where I got this from, I did get it from kingdomfragrances.com, which will be linked down in the description. They did also just happen to update their website, so they do have a bunch of new stuff there. Like I said, check them out down in the description. But again, guys, that was Prada Rosa Black. And the next fragrance that I wore was Hero by Pedro. Now this is their fragrance that is inspired by Acqua di Gio. With it being a spicy interpretation of Acqua di Gio, it is quite similar to Perriello's Red. And it does cost a bit more, probably about 30 bucks more. But this does have a slight edge in terms of the performance, with a slightly different, slightly more dense dry down. This for me is a perfect gym scent, perfect after gym scent. It's extremely versatile. Not quite as versatile as King, but it's still very versatile. Guys, again, that was Hero by Pedro. Now the third one that I have here, guys, was a celebrity fragrance. It performed a bit better on me than I thought it was going to. I tend to ask the nurses that I'm with which one for them smells better, and they happen to say this fragrance off the atomizer smelled better than Dior Sauvage. Which I'm not saying that this is gonna be better on you than Dior Sauvage. I'm just telling you what 3 or 4 nurses had to say about this fragrance. That fragrance is David Dobrik's Perfume. It is amber and cashmere. It is a clean, somewhat soapy, warming fragrance. The only downside of this for me is that the performance is not the best. But in terms of being a cashmere fragrance, it is less sharp than say Molecule 05. A bit easier to wear and for half the cost. Again, guys, that is David's Perfume 01. Amber and cashmere. And now number 7 is gonna be a beastly green style Aventus, with a bright fruity opening with a very mossy, oaky kind of dry down. With that, you get Dictionnaire Hashabat. It's loud, it's beast mode, it smells like Aventus. It is this one that when you want something to last all day long, here you go. Plus note, it is an extrait de parfum concentration fragrance. But this is one that 1 to 2 sprays is plenty. So right in the opening, the fruity nuances are going to be level with the mossier, greener notes. About an hour or so into wearing it, dials back, turns into a very green fragrance with a very green-like sillage. And now when I say green, I don't mean like green Irish tweed. What I mean when I say green, it's going to be like a dry moss once that initial fruit kind of dials back some. Pleasant, but so loud it might not be work appropriate unless you're working, say, outdoors. But indoors, it might be a bit too much if you go heavy on the trigger. And guys, that is Dictionnaire Hashabat. And now the next fragrance that I wore was a more professional, grown-up Acqua di Gio. With notes like incense, patchouli, you get the Acqua di Gio Profumo, which is an office place banger. It just smells so nice, it's so inoffensive. And when people smell it, they're gonna get the hints of the original Acqua di Gio DNA. So they'll be familiar with the scent. But there is a slight edge to it because it is a bit different. When I wore it, I walked into work and somebody immediately said, "Hey, you smell nice," which happens a lot because I do wear a lot of masculine fragrances. But that one always does the trick. That one always does the, if I'm going out for compliments, that one does it. And it did not fail me this week. Again, guys, that is Acqua di Gio Profumo. And now the next fragrance that I have here is a whole cluster of notes that when they're bottled, they just kind of work. Now the name of this fragrance is called RAMC, which stands for Ran After My Car. I don't drive a car, I drive a Chevy. So I like to call it Ran After My Chevy. And you guys can see here, this is from Jonas Crimson. This is RAMC. It's very reflective right there, so it's kind of difficult to show you guys this. But guys, this stuff is awesome. This lives up to any amount of hype, in my opinion, that's been given. It's loud, it's sweet, it's seductive, it's masculine. Now some have said that it's similar to this, which is Creed's Aventus, which in the opening, maybe. It's a bit more tart in the opening, a bit more almost sour-like. But once that sourness dials back and it smooths out some, this is one of the best sillages in my entire collection. It almost makes sense why it's called Ran After My Car. It's like someone was walking out and some wind hit them and someone down the street got a whiff of it and want to find out what it was. I don't know the factual information on that story. That may have been what happened, may have not been what happened, but I wouldn't doubt it. Again, guys, that is RAMC by Jonas Crimson. Now next, guys, what I have here is gonna be a fragrance that I wore like 2 days in a row. I wore it in the morning one day and one in the afternoon the next. I wanted to re-wear this one because it was so surprising to me when I wore it. The sweet tobacco in it with the Tonka bean, it just worked so well. This line is just so impressive. Now it did remind me of a few things in my collection already, but the note breakdown on this is just so interesting. Now, when I got this fragrance, I didn't look into the note breakdown, and I just didn't, because I kind of thought it was kind of obvious what it was. That fragrance is tobacco and tonka bean, guys. With stated notes like pear, plum, coconut, tobacco leaf, vanilla, and tonka bean, you get this guy. It's somewhat dry, but there is a certain quality to it that is like refreshing. It's like a dry tobacco leaf with like a juicy plum, which you wouldn't really think would blend very well, but it makes this fragrance very unique for it being a sweeter tobacco fragrance. But now it is similar to things like Zorzov Naxos in a way, and similar to things like Pure Havane. It's like you take the Pure Havane and take out that cherry note in it, and you put it in some plum, and that was tobacco and tonka bean by Banana Republic. And now the next fragrance that I wore was John Barbados and Nick's Jonas Crimson. Now this fragrance, it smells nice. It does. It has some pretty cool notes in there. I believe there's notes like rum. I think there's notes like coffee. But the opening is very metallic and very synthetic. While yes, it is pleasant, it does smell nice to those that are around you. It's like about as designer as you can get when it comes to these kind of fragrances. The opening's real loud, so if you put it on and go inside somewhere, you're gonna smell real loud. And then that loud, it goes from like 100 to 0 real fast. Doesn't perform very well, which if you want something that's gonna sit real close to the skin for a few hours, this one's good to go with, especially with those different notes and nuances. But this one, it is kind of a lackluster in performance, which isn't a surprise for it being a John Barbados. But still, I feel like I should state that because that's kind of how it was for me. I think I applied like 4 times the other day, like once in the morning, once like before lunch, then once after lunch, and then once in the evening. So yes, I enjoy the scent, but it just didn't last long at all for me. And now to my fragrance of last night and this morning. Brand new to my collection. It's very fresh, it's very inviting. It is Silver Mountain Water. It's so clean, guys. If you saw my video, hopefully your internet or YouTube wasn't down. Hopefully you saw it. But it's so nice. Like I have like probably 4 or 5 clones of this in my collection already. I went and referenced them afterwards, and it's just not the same. Which, if any of you, I want you to go grab a fragrance like this that that's a pretty expensive fragrance. And if you have a clone of it, I want you to go grab the clone. I want you to compare them side by side. And I want you to comment down below, and I want you to share with me what that niche fragrance or that more expensive fragrance was. And the clone, I want you to tell me which one smells better to you. And I want to hear why. The reason why I say that this smells better than the clones is because the clones only capture the opening of this fragrance. The clones of this don't capture the development of the fragrance. After that initial blast, 30 seconds to a minute into wearing it, it starts to develop on my skin, which the clones don't. The clones just keep that initial, it's bright, so it smells nice. I mean, I like the clones, but it's just not this. So I look forward to hearing if your clones smell as good as what they're trying to be. Now, lastly, is going to be my scent of the night tonight, which if I'm missing this in 10 more days on the next list, it's going to be a duplicate, so it's going to be one of my first reposts of fragrances. That fragrance is going to be Omani Code Absolute, which the reason why I'm wearing this tonight is because either tomorrow or the next day is going to be the day that I'm bringing you guys my review on this fragrance. Sweet, it is a mass appealing sweet fragrance. I need to give this another day or two's wear to really bring you guys my full thoughts on it, because right now I like it. I like it a lot. I like it more than the Profumo, but we will see. We will see where it goes. But guys, that is that. I hope you are all having a fantastic evening or morning, depending on when I post this. But guys, like I always say, keep it gent, and I'll see you all next time.